Hey everybody, this is Silverspook, and this is the Silverspook video update on Neofeud 2 and the state of the Cyberthrone. As Neofeud 2 nears completion, you can now ask me, the dev, questions, get sneak peeks at 7 more years of my blood, sweat, and tears. Neofeud 1 took about 2.5 years approximately. Neofeud 2 is taken, technically it's about 3 times as long, but it's, I was not working 100% on Neofeud 2 that entire time. It's 6 years. It's a lot of years, but Neofeud 2 is, the file size is like 2 to 3 times as large. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna host that for people who I did make an offer to Patreon supporters. They can get an option to check it out. But the current state of the game, but I think that it doesn't have voice acting. It's not debugged, and but you can at least give it a try. That's for Patreon supporters. And so I'm currently in this state of finalizing the game. I'm nearly at the state of looking for voice actors. I'm gonna start working on the audio very soon. Not quite yet. So if you're a voice actor, you just join the Discord. Follow me on if they ban Twitter in your country, like in Brazil, then you follow me on Mastodon. Join the Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and I will be putting out a casting call soon. I might be putting out a music call, so looking for a composer for the game or someone to work on music on the game. I did the music for Neofeud 1, so some people asked, I might do the second one, but I've not decided yet. I'm still like voting in certain countries' elections. I am undecided. Anyways, but I will be. I was trying to get the game like 100% done, start to finish, by the end of this month. I'm basically I'm on like the very last like in-game scene, apart from like the ending, like after, like it's the last playable scene. I'm trying to what you're looking at on the screen right now is one of the recent scenes I was working on. It was a lot of work. I think Neofeud and Neofeud 2 might be the most involved, highest, like high resolution, like super involved games of any made in the Adventure Game Studio engine, which is the engine that this game is made in. Neofeud and Neofeud 2 are both made in it, and it's just like I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is like so much work. And in the future, I might try to make less work for myself or spread it out among more people. Because I am doing the writing. I'm doing basically everything. The writing, the programming. So like all the art you see, each bullet I drew, I painted in Photoshop, and then I programmed making each bullet, each missile, each gun shaped, or each special weapons and tactics soldier, each attack helicopter, every neo-feudal king and queen, every CEO / emperor is I have to draw them and paint them, and I have to move them with programming in the game. Sometimes I do that live on Twitch. I do Twitch streams on Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, and I've been showing some of that programming, painting, animating. It's hard to write on stream, but I do write everything. So all the dialogue and the script, the descriptions, all text, all the design, everything. Some people have commented. I mean, it is a high compliment when people say playing Neofeud feels like watching like a big, good Hollywood grade movie sometimes, or like a prestige TV show. And like that is like some of the highest compliments because I do. It's obviously this is not Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad. It's not literally Blade Runner or Star Wars or it's not Prometheus or Alien Romulus, but it is like I think about a lot of Neofeud and Neofeud 2. I think about them in like cinematic terms. Like the stage directions when I write them are like theatrical, like down to the pauses, like, and then somebody says this particular line about a sudden, like in Act 2, somebody who is you thought was your friend in Act 1 suddenly turns on you, and then there's like a dramatic 5 seconds of silence, and then the next line comes. Right? So it's like I think about it in like I was watching Game of Thrones, Battlestar Galactica, Breaking Bad, Caprica, all these naughties and early teens really highest of top tier prestige TV. I think that was one of the best eras for entertainment. And it's been it could just be old and curmudgeonly, but I really like that it had a big impact on me. And obviously like all of entertainment, games, movies, books is influenced. But I was really thinking about it in terms of like how the characters and the world are telling the story, second to second. But in a way, I've never really seen other adventure games that really do it exactly that. I feel like the Wide Jedi games are kind of like similar to what I do. The Wide Jedi games, like Dave Gilbert, and they have like really amazing designers there. And like I was definitely inspired by like Techno Babylon and Primordia and Dave Gilbert, who like directs the Blackwell series, and he has his team of voice directors, voice actors, his artists. I think Ben Chandler is the artist. So they do like this kind of like very like cinematic, like TV-esque drama, and not just drama. It's puzzle, point and click adventuring, but it's also like very watchable, interpersonal, and things happening. Neofeud 2 is obviously at a higher resolution than those games, and it's different because it's me. But I was definitely inspired by that. It's like, because you could do something that's kind of feels like watching Breaking Bad episodes, or like Succession episodes, or Game of Thrones episodes, but like with a way lower budget. And that's like part of the draw. Obviously, this the science fictional world building and the characters and the storyline, and to the extent of the puzzle, the gameplay is part of the draw. But I'm not the best at those, but I do have one. I spent one reason why it's taking longer. I spent a good like 3 to 5 days, which it was supposed to take 1 day, but I spent an extra 2 to 4 days working on an escape the room puzzle, because a lot of people who play Neofeud 1, the hardcore, like the people who like have an entire wall of box sets full of Monkey Islands and Space Quests, and and Westwood Studios Blade Runner, and I Have No Mouth and I'm a Scream, and Noctropolis and Harvester, like on their wall in the original box, unopened, shrink wrapped in 30-year-old plastic. People who like salivate at the thought of inserting dozens of 3.5-inch floppy disks into their 1996 Windows 95 computer. Just those kind of people, you know what I'm talking about? Those people really this is not an insult, I'm just saying this. Some people are really into that. Then some people are really into collecting cigars, and some people are really into making trillions of dollars and making bad Cybertrucks. And some people really are into 3.5-inch floppy disk. And those people who like point and click, like the old school point and click adventure, they like the puzzling parts in particular, the pointing and the clicking and combining the cat's hair and the Scotch tape into a cat mustache. Those people, those people who enjoy that Sierra and LucasArts sort of games, they really like the prison escape scene, an escape the room scene, which is has a like a pretty involved classic. It has many bits you have to figure out, think about, use logic. Kind of think outside the box, think laterally, in to escape the room, right? And that was like my like. Here is your classic puzzle, your classic '90s puzzle for you. And so I made another one of those. Took me like an extra 2 to 4 days. It's another escape the room puzzle. Anyway, that's just some random tidbit. I said I was gonna look at the chat and answer questions because this is kind of like this. I am the developer of the game Neofeud 2 and the Neofeud 1 that became before it, Silver Spoon Games, etc. So this is like a dev. I will be interacting more with the. I don't always do that. Sometimes I go on jet engine decibel volume, high velocity, polysyllabic. I am not a Olympic grade hip hop rap artist. I am not a professional high speed word sayer. I'm like the Stray Kids rapper and Eminem and I don't know whoever else do that. But I do say words quickly, and sometimes I just do not look at the stadium commentary. But I will do that now. When my chat computer decides to cooperate. You see, I'm practicing my acting because I'm gonna have to do acting. I'm gonna have to do some voice acting for Neofeud 2. Not all of it. That's for sure. I did in Neofeud 1 I did Carl Carbon and Protege and Borges, also known as the artist. If you know Neofeud 1, I did like 2 major main characters that have about half the dialogue. Part of it's just like I just got to do this because it's gonna be like so much work for other people, and I gotta just get it done. So I did Carl Carbon and Protege, but I had other voice actors for all the other parts. So I will be doing that again. And everything in Neofeud 1 is voice acted. That was pretty important to me. As you can tell in Neofeud 2, there's some scenes have so many characters. There's more. There's far more total pawns, rooks, knights, bishops, kings, and queens on the chessboard in any particular scene, so to speak. And then there are more total characters in Neofeud 2. I believe it is a longer game. If I was to time it out, I have not played. I'm not able to play. It's not completely done. But if I were to time it out, I believe it would be a longer total playtime than Neofeud 1. It's way bigger file size, which I'm going to try to see if I can get down to a smaller number of gigabytes. Now I will look at the chat. Okay, let's look at this. What is up, Victor? Of course, thanks always to Holly, or my other half, and very important member of the Silver Spoon Cooperative. Without Holly's help, there would be no Neofeud because I can barely keep myself alive by myself. So we have a family here, and it is a Silver Spoon Cooperative game endeavor with myself, Holly, and the mini spooks, who they are working on their own animation and writing and other and coding as well. And so one day you may see things from them at the Silver Spook, under the Silver Spook brand. But anyways, so yeah, I have some video. I mean, you've probably already seen the Neofeud 1 video. The Neofeud 2 trailer. I have some new, never seen before footage from Neofeud 2. I show some random sneak peeks of Neofeud 2 on the Twitch stream. As I said, it's Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, around 6 Pacific time approximately. But I have not shown very much on this YouTube channel. So I kind of wanted to, for the people who mostly consume content or view moving images and listen to audio with them on YouTube, I wanted the people who use YouTube more to like get some updates as well, and also have the opportunity to like get questions answered or talk to me for at least a bit if they would like to. But I want to show like some of the latest in-game of Neofeud 2. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. I can open up the game itself and play through some of it, or I can show this video. I just made this. I'm working on making the like Patreon updates. One more shout out is yeah, if you do want to get like ongoing updates about all these things, and of course like help us keep doing this work, finishing Neofeud 2 and doing the other work that we do in education, activism, etc. At the Silverspook Hui/cooperative, consider helping us out by becoming a Patreon member. I was just working. I'm currently working on the Patreon post, which involves various updates. Like this is some of the last ones with like this is another random scene from Neofeud 2. That's a character animation of a swimming Fluke Seawalker, the wannabe stellar warrior kid, a refugee of a destroyed aquatic planet, and his putting his bioengineered flippers and flukes to good use. He always wanted to defeat an empire with his laser sword skills, flying his Y-wing into the reactor core of some giant battle station, approximately the size of a moon. You know, he always dreamed of that, but it never quite panned out. But he does get to swim. Anyway, so that's like what this is. Some updates, and Portal J returns. Somebody recently asked, like, will we see members of the Egalite Cooperative from Neofeud 1 returning for Neofeud 2? The answer is yes. Basically all of them will return. Yes. So yeah, you're looking for that. That is happening. Also, I do updates on doing anti-imperial actions, talking geopolitics from a Native Hawaiian perspective with our friends around the planet, and we're talking about disability activism and other topics. And of course, this is the avocado trees that grow around our house. So that's the Patreon. So consider helping us out there. You also get access to the Silverspook Discord, and of course, Silverspook behind the scenes. Silverspook University. I hear that universities are there. I was just talking to one of my friends who works at a university, and they're like not. They're like it's pretty shady stuff that happens there. I mean, on top of supporting crimes against humanity happening in the Middle East, these universities and colleges, they're extremely expensive and don't treat their university workers very well often. And so anyways, Silverspook University's Indigenous Left Education combines decolonized history, current struggles, imagined futures, and cultural analysis from a Native Hawaiian activist, educator, science fiction writer, professional game developer perspective, and that is mine. So yeah, it's basically just like it gives you like all the content I've ever produced over the last decade, categorized according to topics. Anyway, back to Neofeud 2 though. So I think I will do is I will show the video of the Neofeud 2 the recent update I have made. I apologize for the Hall of Mirrors. Ooh. I'm just going to show that here. Hopefully this shows up here. Okay, let's just play it. There's no music on this, so let me turn on the Neofeud soundtrack. Somebody asked, where's the Neofeud soundtrack? You can get it on Steam, and you can also get it on Bandcamp, and you can get it on itch.io as well. So now we're going to turn on some good Neofeud. What's a good Neofeud song? Let's see. The original. Or that one? Yeah, we'll do that one. This is a song from the Neofeud soundtrack. I turn my face off. Okay, here we go. yeah. So anyway, so that's just some random Neofeud 2 in-game, some random Neofeud 2 in-game scenes. So you can see like there's a lot. There's a lot going on. I guess sometimes people like go through trailers, right? So here, this is not really a trailer. This is just random footage, but it's kind of trailerish. So it's all stuff that I've never shown before. Maybe a little bit on a random bit of Twitch, but I've never actually shown any of this before. So, but like each like a lot of the time is spent like animating like in this area. It's like animating the car. Well, making the car is already from Neofeud 1. It is Sybil Clinton Bush's aero chariot, the Rolls Royce air car, at a cost of 10 million per vehicle, made with 200 karat solid gold, powered by unknown antimatter and anti-gravity levitational engines. The Rolls Royce is the jet setter, royal jet setter of sorry, I'm trying to write fictional, science fictional corporate copy while I talk, and it's a bit difficult. Anyway, so I work on it. I'm always doing that at all times. Even at lunch, it can be frustrating to my family members. Anyways, so this is like, you know, I have to make the car, I have to make the portraits. This Princess Sybil is of course in Neofeud 2, is a returning character from Neofeud 1. Like the mountains and stuff. I had to make this like scrolling background. I wanted it to kind of look like I'll read some chat now. Thanks a lot to comedian WW for getting Neofeud soundtrack on Bandcamp. Very much appreciated. It may sound silly, but the soundtrack was what got me interested in Neofeud in the first place. Then I looked more into it and bought it because it rocked. Well, I'm glad for that. Maybe you are pushing me towards doing the soundtrack myself again for Neofeud 2. If that's the case, a lot that is one of the. Some people were just like my favorite thing about Neofeud was the soundtrack. It took me like over a month. I think it's 4 months. I can't remember exactly, but it was over a month. It was like multiple months. I like went through every single scene in Neofeud 1. Since we're running trailers, you know, I'll run the Neofeud 1 trailer just to give a contrast. And it also has the same music in it, but I want to see it too, so I'm gonna open it up on the Steam site. I apologize to the Steam community. I have not been super active there. I just like so swamped with everything else. I will try to get, once I'm done with Neofeud 2, like the whole game front to back, and I'm working on soundtracking. I feel like I have some space to breathe in. I will get more active on this Steam community, but I'll try it anyway. Okay, here's the Neofeud 1 trailer. You have seen this before, I'm sure.
The Illuminati created us. They wanted to build a god with their own hands, and instead they created us.
Just because I'm made of silicone and aluminium, I must be doing something wrong. That's machine stereotyping, that is.
That's reality, that is. Machines are second-class citizens.
Humans are sentient persons by default, ma'am. They have personhood by heredity.
There are thousands upon thousands of overqualified slum dwellers. You are my peon. Don't you get it?
This wasn't a job. It was always just an excommunication sentence.
We're pawns in a feud bigger than we can imagine. Turn the cogs of the machine before Leviathan grinds you up and swallows you and yours.
We don't get to choose our hand, comrade. Prince, peon, rich, poor, human, robot.
I invented the crux of the Royal's power, the secret to consciousness, our existence itself, the meaning of life.
I'm the $6 billion baller, not some troubled youth.
You are my greatest creation of all.
had to build my own family. I hate your son. I hate your son.
I'm happy to smash all of the crowns and throw the gold shards down to the people. I will be the iconoclast queen.
But who makes you queen anyway? You? You in whose army, princess? You in whose army?
Neofeud is obviously already out. I just want to say, like, you know, this the music on. I'm sure if you've been following the Silver Spook streams and Twitch and YouTube, and you know, you've probably heard this. You've seen this trailer like 300. You know, you've seen this trailer 52 times, 7 times, once a week, at least, times 7 years. So you have seen this trailer at least 375 times, probably, right? But I just want to say, you know, all the music in this. So all of this, the music in this, I programmed all those drums. I did not actually play those drums in this the syncopated jazz drum solos. I actually programmed everything in this song. Maybe some of the guitar. I think everything in this I programmed this all in Ableton Live. That's all I just inside the behind the scenes dev explanations. This is the Neofeud developer commentary that I did not add to the DVD features. Anyways, but yeah, the Neofeud dev inside secret is it was all in Ableton Live. Almost all of the Neofeud soundtrack was Ableton Live, except maybe some guitar. It's basically programmed the whole thing. Anyway, so yeah, so don't forget, now is a great time to say, don't forget to wishlist and or buy Neofeud on Steam if you have not yet already. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave in a very short review, because it does help us get the game discovered in the Steam algorithm, which doesn't, just like, it's kind of like comments in the YouTube channel, or the likes and shares and replies on a Twitter tweet or a Mastodon post, so it really does help. Anyways, but Neofeud 2, so I did give some Neofeud 2 sneak peeks. Where things are at. Like obviously it's a lot. The video I just showed of Neofeud 2. It's only the like the very latest. Like this, everything you're seeing in this scene here. This is just the very latest in the last. This is less than a month. All this stuff that you're seeing right here. I have put all that together in less than a month. I've been working very hard this month. On Thursday and Friday, I spent I woke up and I woke up at like 8, and I went to sleep at 8 a.m. and went to sleep at 2 a.m. the next day. And most of that day, aside from eating, I was basically working on Neofeud 2. I don't recommend people do that, but sometimes when you're really, don't do that for any capitalist corporation. That is for sure. Do not do that for no AAA, triple capitalist target of the target of the legitimate ire of Commander Sterling. Okay, don't do that. But sometimes you got to just work really hard on sometimes you got to work really hard on a project. I'm just talking while I'm playing back the sneak peeks. You have to work really hard on a project that is, to keep it all in your brain, especially when you're doing a solo. For me, it's like when I'm working on Neofeud 2, if I drop it and go watch something else or get involved in other things, it kind of like it. I think I was talking to William Gibson once, and he said that the author of Neuromancer, speaking of cyberpunk, and he said it's difficult when you're creating and you're writing a story, and you're setting up all of your Hollywood set in your mind, right, for your book, and then suddenly you watch Shape of Water, and Guillermo you put all the little cardboard painted backdrops up. You've got little, you got your people on the board. Everything's set in your head, right? The characters, the world, and then Guillermo del Toro and Shape of Water come and like knock everything down, and you got to rebuild the whole set again. So it's kind of like that when you're working on creative projects. It can be, especially when it's kind of like you. So it's kind of like sometimes like working a lot and just kind of like staying in the world. I think Neil Gaiman would disappear for 2 weeks at a time into a cabin to finish books. Like when people are working on movies, like in House of the Dragon, this Game of Thrones sequel series, Emma Darcy and Matt Smith talked about basically exclusively speaking to each other in like High Valyrian for a period of time to get really into that mindset, just so that you just become the character. But it's kind of like when it comes to like making I don't know, games like Neofeud, certainly, which is it's very character and world and story involved. It's not like Tetris, or Tetris is a great game. It's not like Overwatch, where it's like it's more about the mechanics, or even a first person shoot, like some for just more action focused first person shooters, like Doom. It's not so much you don't have to. There's not that much world to embody. It's kind of like, are the mechanics, is the speed, and does it feel right? Is the gameplay, because that's the most important thing. Like, are the explosions the right size? Do they look appropriate? Like, is the game's processing, is the game not bogging down your CPU and RAM? That's the kind of stuff that you think about mostly. With Neofeud, I have to think about a lot of Neofeud 2 and Neofeud 1. It's a lot of characters and world and details, and is this story beat gonna hit or is it not? How can I make it? How can I sell this? This betrayal. This this is supposed to be like a poignant scene. This scene is supposed to communicate the outrage and inequality, the horror of war, right? The scope and scale of imperial galactic power. How am I supposed to but to sell that, you have to really be thinking in you have to be like in an alternate universe. You kind of have to be a space cadet. You don't need to be an X-wing pilot with the duct tape of the universe, the Force. But you have to kind of be in an alternate world for a while because otherwise it can be difficult to have more fully fleshed. When people talk about, oh, I love these really fully fleshed out realistic characters in Neofeud. Oh, I like this like super in-depth like world that feels like it has almost infinite lore in it. But it's like, to get into that, it takes you have to kind of leave, sometimes not fully, but you have to, for a period of time, leave the real world and become the absent-minded professor. Like I forgot a lot of things. I had to make up some. We had some special celebrations, and I was like, once I'm done with this month, I'm gonna make up. We grab a barbecue and stuff, and I was like, but makua, that's the word that means parent. It's a non-gendered word for parent in Hawaiian. Makua has to kind of disappear, not disappear, but Makua is gonna be around because we're all like in the household. But Makua's mind is gonna be deeply like inside of like a cryo storage facility. Makua's mind is gonna be like uploaded into the Matrix for a bit, and will be not around for a little bit. So. But yeah, I'm not quite where I'm like I feel like I still have a little bit, like there's like basically the final scene, like I said, there's like the final scene of Neofeud 2 to finish up, and then there's like the ending, the hardest part, like the one I just did, the scene I just was working on. It's it's some of the most story heavy elements. I'm playing with like 15 separate characters arcs. Like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Breaking Bad. These people have like 20 core characters, right? With all their own arcs, all their own relationships, right? Their own forces. Who has how many dragons, right? Whose child is related to who, and who was married to X and then Y killed Z, right? And so they have a grudge, right? So you have to wrap all those arcs in a way that feels natural, that isn't too stilted, it's not too boring, it's not too plotting, right? And isn't completely incoherent and incongruous, right? So I have to keep all of that in my head, because I have like 20, 30 characters, and I have to wrap all of those character storylines up in a way that's believable. I mean, it's like a lot of work. And I also have to program, and I have to write, and I have to paint it all. You know, it's like I do an entire Game of Thrones show, which takes a 10-person writer's room, 50 actors, 1,000 set designers and costume makers, and I have to do that in my head. You know, I mean, not to oversell it, but I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, my production values are not nowhere close to that of a obviously a mainstream TV show. Okay, let me read the chat. Proto J and Carl returning in the game. Scale Sibbins says, yeah. This time right now, what I'm doing what you're watching this is some random Neofeud 2 in-game footage. As I'm talking, I'm just like playing it over so that people, in case you missed it earlier, you get some Neofeud 2 sneak peeks. And so if you have questions, feel free to ask questions. You can ask me about some things. I'll try to read this in my King Warren. No. Read this in my King Warren voice. They've I don't do King Warren. I should probably not try acting. People will be like, what kind of acting is that? They've de-dollarized from our Western denarius after we stole their reserves. They're not taking our Zuckbuck money bait or buying our treasuries either. They've circumvented all our semiconductor sanctions, and the E-Aero Freighter tariffs are all backfiring. I'm gonna change it to like the E-Aero Freighters. Our E-Aero Freighter tariffs our E-Aero Freighter tariffs are nosediving. Anyways, our kindergarten grade artificial intelligence is being schooled by their post-PhD compy minds. Our narco trafficking in Afghanistan too has been drug busted. Even our new New York Times copium articles are not doping Stratoplex minds into placidity like they used to. So Neofeud 2, just a little bit of story behind the scenes. In Neofeud 2, you return to the palace, right? The ultimate imperial metro castle. It's the ultimate space Versailles. It's space New York. It's space DC. It's levitating London. It's the penultimate Paris. It is the Rome. It is the cyber Rome. Gilded and diamonds. It has the Koh-i-Noor and every other precious jewel of every non-Western country, spangling its tops, adorning its crowns, everything you could possibly imagine, right? Except it's a galaxy now. It's not just the Earth. So one story thing is Neofeud 2 takes place in a galaxy-wide setting. As you can see from this planet, you're actually in space. You're in space where no techno king can hear you scream, and they will not make a Boeing plane or spacecraft Starliner to save the American astronauts whose cells are slowly degenerating. Their DNA is falling apart. I'm not joking about that either. There's 2 American astronauts that are slowly, their bodies are eating themselves. The low gravity is causing them massive ill health impacts. And so in Neofeud 2, it also takes place in a terrible space setting. But you still have neo-feudal kings and queens ruling over endless sprawling poverty below, endless landfill / dumpster / it's like the worst of Mumbai crossed with the shadow cities of Mumbai crossed with the ugliest, most impoverished favelas of Brazil, with no Twitter to speak of, and the worst of Skid Row and the rat-infested, homeless, overcrowded subways of New York, all slapped into one big mess. It's called Utopia. But the people that run it, they are doing very well in these palaces, while the masses live in where's the planet? I lost it. yeah, the masses. You see this smoking hellscape below, full of war and poverty and and societal collapse. They live in there, and their rulers live in the space palaces. So King Warren, the neo-feudal royalty will be making a return, but they are in less good position as the palace lights begin to dim. Because they're running out of colonies. The colonies are decolonizing the lithium, the cobalt, the trilithium, the caconium, the unobtainium mines, the Vespine gas. The neo-feudals require more Vespine gas to construct additional pylons to their own grandeur, but they lack in the Vespine gas because things I can't say right now. Anyways, what's up to Grant? Yeah. And so, but yeah, that's some of like behind the scenes. And so, if you have questions about any of this, you can ask those questions if you would like to. What is the development like? This is, as I said, this is just like I'm just hanging out, talking about Neofeud 2 and just dev interact. I'm doing more interaction than I normally do on my streams today. Lady Karen returns. Lady Karen is not a return card. Her name is Lady Karen. Lady Karen, first of her name, color of cops. Right, a color of cops, toucher of black hair, haver of slaves, liberal senator, Lady Karen. And also she needs $1 billion for a new flying Cybertruck to get to Pegasus Riding and Dosace afterward. So in Neofeud 1, there is a character who goes to Pegasus Riding. So Pegasus Riding is still a thing. People still go to Dosace. And Verbana, Dosace. You know, you have Christian Hilfiger and Tommy Dior. They're all making a comeback, right? There's what's her name? Beyonce Kardashevian the 22nd is having her royal coronation party, and you gotta come in a flying Cybertruck to make an impression for these types of things, and you need those billions. You gotta have daddy's billions. It's kind of like being, Zionist, right? Daddy can produce some billions, and Daddy Uncle Sam give you all the money you want, like a little precious little thing. Go do another atrocity, give you some more money. Where will our minerals and energy come to? Where will our minerals and energy to maintain the stratoplex come from with no new colonies? I hear those damned Uyghur terrorists are mining their trilithium to build up their own flying car factories. Those are our resources. So it's Neofeud 2 is definitely like relevant to the 2020s, in which historical, massive imperial places, countries, systems, and individuals at the top of that totem pole are increasingly finding it difficult to maintain their control and their resources, and there's a rolling brownouts and blackouts in the palace, because I was like, I don't want to just do Neofeud 1 again, so it's got to be something different. So I was like, it's got to be relevant to the as I said, cyberpunk and science fiction, as Ursula K. Le Guin was then echoed by William Gibson once said, science fiction is always about the moment, not about the future. It's about the moment, right? And it's a mirror that reflects the nightmares and the future dreams of the present civilization, from which it is produced in the present. And so Neofeud 2, by extension, must also reflect the night terrors of the place that I am currently writing it while being colonized by it. Anyways, so that's about Neofeud. The palace makes a comeback. There's obviously this is there's way more to it than this. in the past week, I was working on this giant warship. I had this thought because, like, you know, Neofeud 2 has a lot of vast wastelands. So I created this kind of it's something I remember I was watching Blade Runner 2049 when I was first working on Neofeud 2 back in the day, and I liked how, like, Blade Runner, right, the original Blade Runner shows a lot of you know, like the Blade Runner has like these kind of vast cityscapes. Like, obviously Ridley Scott is a major inspiration for me in visual storytelling, and, you know, Blade Runner has like these vast cityscapes and this neon drenched multi-ethnic future, which is kind of like, in some senses, like, if you think, I mean, it's not, now I'm gonna get cyber cinematically philosophical, but if you think about it, right, it's kind of like if Blade Runner, right, if the Blade Runner environmental collapse, and it wasn't called multipolarity, let's say environmental collapse and multi-ethnic non-Western, let's say Euro Anglo dominated urban spaces was the nightmare, right, of some in the 80s certainly, and the kind of the Yellow Peril under the rise of the Japanese, etc. That has already kind of come to pass, but, you know, it looks more like it looks more like, you know, the best EVs and solar coming from the East, and the West, like, just not wanting it, and, like, having major games be the number one on Steam, like, you know, Black Myth Wukong, and, you know, so this is a game made in China by the Chinese dev team, right, and it's like the number one RPG on Steam. And so if you know, and so if the Blade Runner 1980s fear was that there would be a world in which the United States and the combined West were not the dominant power, that was one of the fears, then that has happened. That is here. It's not as dystopian as it was, some people have made it out to be. In one sense, you know, Blade Runner, it's not the fear is obviously in the environmental collapse. You don't really see the environmental collapse. What you see in Blade Runner is, like, mostly the. I swear I'm gonna come back to Neofeud 2. I'm just like, I'm off on a Silver Spook educational tangent merry-go-round. Just give me a second. I'll come back to it. I swear to Jobs. I swear to Gates. I swear to Walton, and I swear to Bezos. In when in Blade Runner, you have, like, the urban, like, everything is urban. There's cities everywhere. There's giant geishas on the wall. There's, like, Atari logos and Sony logo, you know, and a lot of is the Yellow Peril. You know, it's like scare, Asian invasion scare. But then there's also the environmental, right? There's, like, there is no green in the Philip K. novel, right? Do Androids Dream? In the Do Androids Dream, there are no animals, right? There are only electric sheep. Nobody has one. I mean, you might have one, but it's extremely rare, extremely expensive, right? Because of environmental degradation. It was, you know, coming off of, like, the Silent Spring and the fears of, you know, the destruction of nature and what would happen. Simultaneously with, you know, there was artificial sugar, there were artificial toys, there were Furbies, there were artificial limbs, right? And that's Darth Vader. The fear in Darth Vader is partially fears of the science fiction is the nightmares and the daydreams of the population of the civilization that is writing it. And so they dreamt of the horror of being mechanized, everything being mechanized and robotic, artificial sweetener, artificial butter, artificial wood, right? And nowadays people don't even really think about it. It's kind of like each technology, a new thing, kind of causes its own fears. And it's, later on, populations just like kind of take them. Sometimes they take those things more for granted. But anyway, so Duanity's Dream of Electric Sheep, you know, it dealt with like the end of nature, in part. And finally humans, right? The replicants that are humans that are artificial, and what does that mean to be an artificial human at all? It's like Philip K. Dick's kind of like philosophical ruminations, right, in this book. But you know, so the absence of nature, the technologization, AI, high tech robotics, exploding was a big part of Blade Runner. And but in Blade Runner, Blade wasn't gonna say this. Oh yeah, Blade Runner 2049. You get to see a lot of the environmental degradation, like the wasteland and the post-apocalyptic Los Angeles. You know, the giant as the sea levels rise, the giant sea walls to try to keep the ocean out from parts of California as everything falls apart. And there's some scenes of Blade Runner 2049 where it's like there's huge, just huge, endless messes outside the city, and that was I did appreciate that part of expanding the cyberpunk dystopian sci-fi Blade Runner world. And I will finish there. I'm done. Before I get too far off. And so back to Neofeud 2. And so like these scenes where you have like these like endless just like trash and like destruction and war zone just littering huge swaths of the planet, right? Neofeud 1 had like landfills the size of the Himalayas. It was a big part of it. I remember Chappie, District 9, and Elysium, the Neil Blomkamp movies, were also I was the floating cities are at least partially District 9 related. If you've never seen District 9, I highly recommend it. All the Neil Blomkamp movies are I find them like underappreciated and just kind of these weird things that happen, and they're really amazing. And people like, do you know of any populations that are trapped behind large impenetrable walls and forced to stay there and slowly languish and die there? You ever heard of any populations like that? District 9 is literally an alien sci-fi movie about aliens trapped in a ghetto apartheid, stuck there and unable to leave. And you know, it's very relevant. It's kind of like, you know, people are watching Alien Romulus and they're going, wow. Or sorry, they're watching Alien Romulus and they're going back on the top on Prime and Netflix right now. The top 10 includes Alien, Prometheus, and Alien Covenant. Like I looked at multiple services, and everyone's going, wow, Alien Prometheus was such a great movie. Why didn't anyone talk about it? I don't know. Like, you know, it's the and so District 9 is like District 9 has that kind of floating city above this. Just like the storytelling, it's not Neofeud isn't District 9 story specifically, but it does have like a floating, giant, massive, like realistic floating object, just kind of hovering above a urban area with a ghetto below it, and that was definitely some of the Neofeud 2. So the Neofeud inspiration. Also the character of Charlotte Copley, the social worker / kind face on apartheid injustice, like the smiling liberal face behind the guns of colonialism. You know, he is tasked with removing these aliens and getting them to willingly move without having them to use too much force to the concentration camp, basically. Yeah, his character was Charlotte Copley did a really good job with that, and his character in the story is part of Carl Carbon's story of it's influenced Carl Carbon's social worker for robots and half human, half animal chimeras, in the way that he is kind of an agent that's ostensibly there to help, but ultimately the system that he works for is not there to help. It's there to steal and to plunder, and do it with the most kindest, most smilingest, face. Kamala Harris is the current face of that. With that cackling laughter. It sounds a little bit too witch-like though. It's a little bit too, not in a good way. Not in like a solstice festival in the UK sort of witch. I'm talking about like Wicked Witch of the West witch is what Kamala Harris sounds like. Anyways, back to the point. So I watch all the District 9, all the Elysium, obviously another one. If you missed those, these came out like 15, 20 years ago. They were not that big. They were poorly reviewed in the Western press, Rotten Tomatoes, and that did not help it. And anyway, okay. Anyway, so back to Neofeud 2 though. So yeah, so like having like large, kind of sprawling wastelands. I wanted to have some of those in Neofeud 2, and also like in war zones to kind of like communicate like the disasters of what had been wrought, or what an imperial forces had wrought, and obviously didn't clean up, didn't care to fix up, and have just kind of, they just kind of like leave Death Stars lying around, and just move on, and then sometimes they also come back. And I have some of these huge ships in Neofeud 2 that are like Death Star like, except they more accurately resemble, if Death Stars are the large outer space primary, they're like the space equivalent of an Earth naval vessel of an empire, right? Under Palpatine in the Star Wars, of course. But I wanted it to more accurately resemble real Earth empires than the Star Destroyers did in Star Wars. Because you can read it and I wanted it to be more direct, because it is the 2020s. It's late in the game. I think it's more obvious now to most people that don't mainline and like inhale CNN or Fox or MSNBC media like 24 hours a day, which I full disclosure, like my parents, I just talked to my dad, and a lot of the people in the US and the West, they are just drinking that stuff in and are convinced of very strange things. I had a very strange, because like a lot of the circles I'm in nowadays are different from the circles I used to be in, even when I was working on Neofeud 1. And like there are alternate reality. You know this if you talk to people with differing politics in places like the United States, Canada, and Europe, and etc. People have totally different sets of facts, not just narratives, just completely different sets of facts about what is happening, what has happened, what is the reality, who is doing what, who is in the right, who is in the wrong. It's like they're not even using this. They're not even using close to the same basic information. So yeah. Anyway, and propaganda is a major theme inside of Neofeud 2 as well. But yeah, I wanted to have a close up of this massive ship because I had the smaller one. I had a smaller version of it, but it doesn't quite get this. There's no point in the game in which you get this you don't get the scope of what is happening when it comes to these ships. So I spent at least a day modeling an entire, like placing every single dot of light, every greebling, every auxiliary port, every airlock, every laser turret, every missile launching platform, every HIMARS, and every F-35 takeoff platform. I modeled them all on this ship, and yeah. So anyways, but that took me another day. So that was an extra time that I wasn't planning to spend. So that's where that's how like the dev cycle. That's how the dev time can kind of overrun itself. Where it's like, oh, this is gonna in writing. It's like, oh, this scene will be simple. I'll just have this character. He's just gonna get on the throne, and his eyes will light up, and that's it. And it's like, and in reality, it's like, oh my God, wait, he has to walk there. He has his entourage. He's got like 50 troopers. You've got all of these other characters that got to come with him. And how is he going to get on there? Is he going to jump on there? Is he going to sit on there? You got to animate all of that. So each one of some animations, it could take me like half a day to do one animation. And I have to make like 100, So I'm like, well, we're going to cut that down. I'm going to repeat that. So the overrun, the development time overruns tend to happen. And then it's either like you got to cut it, but it's like, then it's like I was telling Holly, it's like either you can cut this scene, or you can like make like this part of the game. It got really intense. Like there's a lot of animation, and it's very like high quality. It's like a lot of things happening all at once. And I didn't want, and the scene is like very important, so I don't want this scene to I didn't want the scene to like end with like, oh well, you had like you had like a Star Wars finale bit, with lots of spaceships, moving parts, really impressive, and then you had like a stick figure drawing for the last 5 seconds of it. What happened? Like, did you just literally run out of budget? Well, I don't have a budget, so I didn't run out of budget. I ran out of time and mental energy and lack of lower back pain and upper and mid back pain that allows me to keep working. That's been one of the struggles. Is health struggles in Neofeud 2 have been much harder than Neofeud 1. That has been a hampering aspect. Speaking of the developer's commentary, my back would like to take the microphone now and scream in 600 point Times New Roman font, 10,000 A's, and then another 5,000 exclamation points, and that's my Silver Spooks lumbar disc, cervical disc developer commentary. That's its comments. I'm not gonna voice act that, because I will break my microphone with my decibels if I were to do that. Anyways, so I'm just checking the chat. So anyways, so it's like, but yeah, things overrun themselves. The costs, since Silver Spook Games is not a corporation, it's just basically me doing this. We don't have to spend another $1 million, $2, $3, $5, $10 million on the game. It just means that like I have to take more time to finish it. That's what happens. So it's not cost overrun. It's just I have to take a little bit more time to finish it. So, but I'm at the point where at one point I was just like, just get this thing out. Just get this thing out. Just hammer it out. It doesn't matter. Like don't just, you got to get it done. And I was just like kind of erring more on the side of just cut the scene, make it simpler. Don't put all that effort and time in it, because it could look better, but it will take you 50 years. One aspect of Neofeud 2 is that there are, it is higher. I wanted to make it higher resolution. I wanted to make it higher production value. Like the art, I wanted it to be better, because a lot of people commented, oh, the art was something, this and that, and some people didn't like the art of Neofeud 1, and it needs to be more consistent. It's ugly, blah blah blah. And so I took that comment to heart. This is a pro tip for a game developer, pro game dev tip number 365. Don't read your YouTube and Steam reviews too deeply, and don't take them too seriously, especially if it's from somebody. It's like, if you're a creator, you're gonna tend to focus on, and this is the truth of virtually everybody that I have ever talked to about that or heard from about that. When you're a creator, you tend to listen to, and you tend to, like, obviously positive feedback. Oh, I love this thing you made so much. Like, Neofeud is like secretly the greatest and also funniest cyberpunk game on Steam, and it's like, oh, that's music to your ears, and it's great. Or like, oh my God, this game is like it's like watching a Hollywood movie, and that's really great. Neofeud feels like an important piece of literature more than a game, like War and Peace. Like somebody literally said that. And that, like, it always feels good to have positive praise to increase your narcissism and the diameter of your head. It's great. It's a great thing. But like the reality is that actually, like creators often focus on the negative feedback more than the positive, because it just kind of tends to stick in your mind, and you just keep thinking about that negative comment, especially if you don't know how to deal with that. Which I'm not the best at always with dealing with those kind of things. You're like, oh, this was terrible, and it sticks with you, and you think about it, and then you kind of worry about how am I gonna fix that. And it's like, obviously, it's not bad. It's not a bad idea, of course, to take feedback, and people should. You're gonna have to take feedback, especially if it's like the game is crashing on line 706. The C# script is having a general protection fault. That's not really a thing that happened, but and you got to fix that. And like, I mean, that's like, well, I definitely thank you for finding that, because I don't want people to quit the game and get upset because it's crashing way too much, right? But like when people like kind of like this writing is trash, XYZ, it can definitely kind of stick with you, and you worry about it, you think about it, you obsess about it. And but the thing is that a lot of people who play games and consume films and art, they people are gonna have their feelings, and some people, doesn't matter what you do, you're not gonna be able to please certain people. Some people just like making mean negative comments on the internet. That's like half the internet is just people getting mad about things that they don't even really understand. It's almost kind of like if a society there's one thing to give like constructive criticism, like you could improve this specifically by X and Y and Z, and like it's like 100% legit and would help, right? And then there's people, but if you live in a society where you're surrounded by suffering and pain and impoverishment and lack of people's lacking their basic needs, while the worst people have all the resources, right? If you live in that kind of place, and then they lord it over you, the kind of place that Neofeud and Neofeud 2 were based on, then the population is going to generally it's going to have resting resentment face. The population is going to just have a general state, an average default state of anger, frustration, pent up frustration, and just jealousy and all kind of other negative feelings, and they can easily blast that on the internet to anonymous people. They'll never or blast it at whoever they want, and that's, you can't, and that is you could say that's criticism. They might even, some of them get mad at government officials and talk about various political parties, right? But but a lot of that's happening there is kind of like, it's like mute, impotent scream. It's like, you have no democracy, but you must scream. And so people scream into the ether at other people, at obviously migrants, or the different people that look the wrong color, people that are not from their country, the political party they don't like, the games or the movies that they might have actually liked the game or movie, but they just got mad, and so they're just gonna scream their listenerless scream into that void, into the developer's ears. And so those kind of comments are not particularly helpful, and it can actually mess you up, because then you get like stuck on those. But it can be hard to filter out the negative, useless feedback from useful, positive, constructive criticism. And in fact, if you find somebody who actually gives you positive, good, constructive criticism, those are some of the most important people to have around you. You want those people to have around you that like actually want to see you succeed. But you also have to kind of but it's hard to discern the difference, and you have to get far away from the other kind of people, because they will drag you to hell, also known as the US. Anyways, so Yeah, so I'll play this one more time, and I see that there's not a whole lot of questions, but if somebody did have a question or comment, you feel free to ask it. As this is one of the few times where I actually am gonna talk to people on this stream more constantly. I'm gonna try my best. Holly, let me know if I did miss anything. I do have the ability to have super chats, but I'm just like I have not enabled it because I don't have the time, or I don't really have the desire to go and input a whole bunch of data, and I'm not sure how useful it would be. But so if you comment anything, I will take a look at the comments. Hey, what is up, Strin Sam? I'm just playing random in-game Neofeud 2 sneak peeks on a semi loop right now, as I just kind of discuss whatever is happening under the sun. Oh, something else. Let's see if there's else I want to talk about on this. The Garden of Working Past makes a return, so that's something. If you've ever seen this scene from Neofeud 1, this is a location / object entity in Neofeud 1, and it does make a comeback as well, so that's fun. It's nice to have it's nice to be able to kind of like reuse some of the material that I spent I don't know, probably spent at least 2 weeks working on this alone and animating it. This war scene took a while as well. This was like a lot of this past week. It's full on battles happening. Bullets and missiles turning into confetti. I see that Grant Scarborough is thinking. He's thinking very hard. Keep thinking, Grant. Keep thinking. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by also, of course, Strin. Anyways, yeah, is there anything else I didn't do that I need to do that I said I was going to do? No, I think I did it. Yeah. But yeah, so that's here's one more. I'll play like the you've probably seen this if you follow me on the Twitch. You have probably already seen this, but I will now play the Neofeud 2 trailer. Wait. Oh. Spook Games. So I'm trying to remember what my video was called. Here it is. Okay. anyways, so this is another separate Neofeud 2 trailer. It came out a while ago, but you know, just that's like, so that like, if you combine, I mean that's not all. There Neofeud 2 has a lot more than that in it. It's yeah, so it's a huge thing. Stren says, wow, it takes so much time to do these animations. Indeed, it does take a long time. Yes. Any estimate when you're going to release Neofeud 2? It looks amazing, FYI. Oh, thanks a lot, Strin. Yeah, so yeah, I was trying to get the Neofeud 2, all of the programming, writing, art, all in the game done by the end of this week. So like by today, basically. That is not quite. We're not quite there. I'm basically on like the last scene, the last playable scene, and then I have to do like a little. I have to do like an ending. I shouldn't say little. You know, say, oh, it's a little ending, but it's gonna be like basically like a handful of short, not playable scenes. So that makes it a little bit easier. I don't have to think about characters walking around coding, and you know, it's just gonna be like a short like cut scene. See a few cutscenes to kind of wrap the game up. It's like, you know, it's like the ending. So I got to do the Neofeud 2 like ending. Like Neofeud 1 had like three short scenes that wrapped the game up, and it's just like you see a little bit. I want to wrap it up. Maybe I want to wrap it a little bit better than that. When Neofeud 2, I have been like trying to be better about like close out arcs a little bit sooner in the game. So it's not like you got to wrap it all. Like don't leave like all your main characters and their antagonists all unclear how it resolves. Don't leave all your major plot lines completely unresolved to the very last second of the game, because that's like, you know, I think it, otherwise you gotta kind of stuff it all together. It can be a bit stilted and confusing. So I still gotta wrap up. So anyway, long story short, it's gonna take. Yeah, I gotta spend the next week, and I have not got the music, sound, and voice acting done. So that's gonna take some time. I'm hoping to get Neofeud 2 done, like seriously, by the end of this year. I could get it out in December. That would be amazing. So yeah, I don't have a release date for you. Because you know I've said before, like, oh, I'm gonna have it done this year, and I'm like, oh, it's like, it doesn't happen. Last year I said I'm gonna have it done this year, and that didn't happen. Well, I mean now I'm on like the very last scene of the entire game. I still have some more like painting to do. I have a little bit more. I shouldn't say a little bit. You know, it's like the very last scene. It's like the last fight, and then you know the results of that very last scene, and then the ending, and then. So yeah, so we'll see how long the voice acting and that takes. Gotta debug it. If you are a Patreon member and you want to try the not complete Neofeud 2, I'm giving people the option to, if they become a Patreon member, have the option to. You have to ask for it though, because to build the game and find a way to host it is going to be a little bit of a trick. One of our friends, Monogatete, has offered to help out with that. But if people are like, I just want to wait till the game is done with the voice acting and the music and the sound and debugged, that's also totally valid as well. But it's an offer for Patreon Silverspook Patreon members to try it if they want. How much larger is Neofeud 2 compared to Neofeud 1? Neofeud 2 is approximately. Neofeud 2 is approximately. I haven't timed it. The file size, I can tell you the file size right now, is like. Neofeud 1 was approximately 3 gigabytes for the whole. When you download Neofeud, if you buy it on itch, right, or something like that, or if you get it on Steam too. All of Neofeud is like 3 gigabytes. It compresses down to like 1.1 or 1.2. Neofeud 2 is 7, so Neofeud 2 has at least twice, or it's over twice the size of Neofeud 1 in file size. In length, it's probably at least as long, and it's almost, I can guarantee it's gonna be, you know, I don't know how much longer, but because how long does it take you to play Neofeud 1? Depends on how completionist you are. Right, depends on how much time do you go through all the objects. Are you very thorough? Do you go through all the dialogues? Neofeud 1, it took when I played through everything, it took me about 15 hours to complete Neofeud 1. You can get through it in 10 or 8 if you kind of just quickly going through it. You could speed run it at 6 maybe. Actually, the fastest I've ever gotten through Neofeud 1 is like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but that's like with I have a developer cheat, like just blasting through every single scene. I can get through it in actually less than that, a few minutes. But that's like skipping literally everything. Anyway, but Neofeud 2 will probably be like 15 to 20 hours maybe. Could be 20 hours if you're thorough. But I'm not 100% certain on that. It has like at least as many scenes in total, if not more. I have not exactly counted it yet. I had to learn how hard making animation really is the hard way via a failed Gary's Mod Machinima series. Indeed, it is tough to make animations. Grant. That's an impressive speed run. Well, before more behind the scenes, before I finished Neofeud 1, I had played through this game at least like 200, 300 times. Like I knew the script front to back. There was a time where I could recite all 74,000 words of the Neofeud 1 script. You want to see the Neofeud 1 script? I have it right here. I have to have it open so I can remember what the heck is going on. All the voice actors got this in 2016 when I was getting the voice acting for it. I do use an ancient version of Microsoft Word 2003 for the OPSEC. But anyways, but it is like this. It was a file, and this file has 64,000 words. That's minus the descriptions. So there's some other words in it. There's a few other things that are not included in this file. But what was I saying? So like everything in Neofeud is scripted out like a movie, down to the instructions, like open on a lavish palace like Versailles if it was built in 2050, a clandestine meeting of the most powerful neo-feudal monarchs, CEOs, religious leaders, emperors, and other heads of the corporate state. They are surrounded by android bodyguards like Agent Smith replicas, the door secured by Terminator-like military robots. And then Sybil says, the Golem Project has been activated. Rollout will be finalized within a week. And so all the actors had to go through this process of, they got this, and then they would like read through it, or not read the whole thing, but they would like, know at least their character and their lines. I would give them their specific lines and then the whole script so they could see where they fit into this entire story. And, and I need this open because without it, it helps me to remember, because there are return characters, right? Carl Carbon comes back. Princess Sybil comes back. The main three characters come back for Neofeud 2, and some others as well. There's many, of course, new characters in Neofeud 2 outside of Carl Carbon and Protege and Princess Sybil. Now that takes me back. Which one takes you back? You mean the Neofeud 1? Yeah. Also, what's up to SCH? Well, what I was saying was at one time I could recite the entire Neofeud script. At one time I could recite the entire Neofeud script from memory. I used to just randomly go around the house and just be like quote stuff from it, because I had to voice half of the script, so approximately 37,000 lines, or 37,000 words of the script, because I do Carl Carbon and Protege. It's kind of like, I was listening to like House of the Dragon, and it's like the guy who plays Daemon, the two dragons, the Targaryen family, and they would talk to each other in Valyrian. So at one point I was like so familiar with the script. When you get really, 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 really familiar with a world and characters in a fictional world, the characters almost become like real people, you know? Perhaps that is undiagnosed hallucinational mental health disorder, but is it are you having a undiagnosed mental health disorder, or are you simply a creative person? Sometimes it's not clear. Why did you choose to become an indie dev that causes misery and bankruptcy and loss of home and mortgage to so many people? That is already a mental health disorder potentially. But anyways, I'm not saying that you have a mental health disorder if you are an indie game dev like myself, but it is a lot of work and it is a lot of time and effort to produce these things. And yeah, it's like you gotta go through. I mean, you don't have to do that. You can like phone it in and do a bad job, and then those things won't get. You know, I mean, it's not a guarantee that your game is going to get played. But I mean, like, it's definitely, you're not going to help yourself out. So it's like, it's always like a thing. It's like, oh my gosh, it's going to take so much time and energy to do this thing, right? It's going to take like, so much time, and it's going to like be very extremely difficult to pull off all of these things I need to pull off by myself. Or even if you have a team, it could still be difficult to pull off. And so it's a stressful thing of simultaneous. You always kind of have a somewhat bipolar experience. Things are. It's the end of the world, and it's the beginning of the brand new, better, bright future at the same time. Every morning depends on how much coffee and how many milligrams of caffeine you have consumed today. It's the end of the world, or it's the beginning of utopia. Well, thanks a lot for stopping in. Grant says, I gotta get running. I gotta catch on the stream. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, I'm here. It's 1:10. I gotta go eat my lunch soon. But if anybody has any other questions, what I was doing was I was showing some of the latest of Neofeud 2. If anybody has any other questions about anything that you want to ask Silver Spook now, because I often do Twitch streams where sometimes in streams sometimes I don't interact that much, but I'm gonna try to actually interact with every single comment and question and such on this stream. I mean, we don't have that many inappropriate people around here at all. These are all the best people that watch these videos. You are the best people that watch the Silver Spook channel. You count yourself among the highest echelons of your species. I know that sounds a bit weird and eugenicsy. It's like a very neo-feudal thing to say. But anyways, yeah, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask it now. I'm going to try to get to it. And then I'm gonna be gone soon. I'm gonna play this one more time. This is some random you don't have to be about Neofeud 2. It could be questions about music or art or game dev process or other stuff that, you know, whatever you want. This is not quite an AMA, but kind of. Okay. I'm just trying to find some random music. If you want the music from Neofeud as well, which I did compose this. It's like 46 tracks. It's 2.5 hours. Yeah, you can get it there. Where's my one song here? Try to put a different track on while Strain says, I used to be addicted to caffeine. I had to quit cold turkey. Yeah, that sucks. Oh, is my internet broken? What happened there? Oh, there it goes. It was going. What happened there? Let me know if you cannot hear me over that. I'm trying to put some music on while I play this. While I play this video here. You can hear. Okay, good. Okay, Strin asks, how much of the future are you predicting with this new endeavor? We already know how history has proven you right since Neofeud 1. Well, Thank you, Strind, for the vote of confidence in my oracular talents. I am John Connor. I am Nostradamus. And if you want stock tips, don't forget to check out Silver Spook, ticker symbol SLI. I'm just kidding. How much of the future am I predicting with Neofeud 2? I don't know. I wish that like stuff that I write wouldn't come true most of the time, because it's usually not very good. With Neofeud 2, there are some very bright spots in it though. Actually Neofeud 2 is like Neofeud 2 has like a multiple personality disorder. It's a multiple personality disorder utopia. It doesn't know if it's a dystopia or a utopia or a heterotopia, which is kind of like between a utopia and a dystopia. Neofeud 2 has very positive. Neofeud 2 is like in a quantum state of indecision about the future, right? It has a very positive like regions of its universe, and then very, very terrible regions of its universe. And so that's like one of the big Neofeud 1 is mostly just kind of cautionary tale with extremely wealthy people, royal, money grubbing executive types, right? King/CEOs, and then everybody else just kind of screwed in extreme poverty, environmental degradation, treated as subhuman. The more, ethnic, the more marginalized you are in various ways, the worse you are treated. People are meat. People are cannon fodder. People are grists for the mill. Literally, their bodies are chopped up and. They're sentient machines. Their bodies are chopped up and recycled into new bodies. People are discarded like last month's iPhone, right? Like, so the Android, they're sentient beings that get thrown out of these ultra rich palaces into giant landfills, right? And so Neofeud 2, and that's most of Neofeud 1 takes place in one urban setting. From like the endless landfills below to the and then the collapsing urban wasteland, the healthcareless, houseless, cracked, unpaved streets, 100-year-old lead and radon leaching pipes just poisoning everybody, right? And then it's just hell below, and then above it's palaces, right? But it's all like in one vertical. It's only like one vertical, like bottom to the top, right? Neofeud 1 starts at the bottom and goes to the top of an urban mega London, mega New York, right? And Neofeud 2 goes like very laterally. So it goes from, a Western collapsing, late stage post-capitalism, because it's not even really capitalism. They don't really make products to sell and take profits. They just print money and give it to themselves and don't make any products or make broken products. And then one area is doing that, right? And that's the neo-feudal era. And then there's another areas of the galaxy and even of planets that are super prosperous. They have high-speed rail, they have electric vehicles, they have cheap food, cheap housing, cheap everything, plentifully produced. They have like governments that respond to the population, things unheard of in the Occident. They have communities, like healthy, thriving communities. They have like families that don't treat children like property. They have like lack of patriarchy. They have full rights for ethnic minorities that have like ethnic minorities from wintry places have. In the summer, they have ice machines. They have fusion-powered ice machines make snow palaces for ethnic minorities. They give extra. There's civilizations that give 3 times the resources and birth rates to the ethnic minorities, and lead the galaxy in this galactic, prosperous system. The Galactic Silk Road is what it's called. And then there's the other people, you know. So Neofeud 2 it deals with like these. It goes and looks at two different or many different, but basically two separate paths for the future, right? That are also simultaneously fighting over the future. One side is fighting, right? And one side is saying, let's stop fighting. One side is fighting to take all the resources and the capital and the labor of the galaxy and give it to the top 100 most wealthiest quadrillionaire, deeply unhinged, and definitely mentally ill, and psychopathic in many ways population. And the other system is, let's give everybody all their needs to be met with all of the trilithium of every planet in this galaxy. So Neofeud 2 is it has a grander scope. Neofeud 2 also jumps between centuries, so it goes across the galaxy and it goes across time by centuries. So you see like how the world of Neofeud 1, right, were these floating palaces above their exploited wastelands below, right? And these how those places transformed from just Earth being harmed, right, by this CEO King cabal, to the whole entire galaxy being harmed. So he's like that was a hard part. It was like, how do I illustrate like going from 2020's Earth to 2030's Earth, right? And somebody brought up like, wait, Silver Spook, what happened to like Russia, China, Africa, South America? What happened to the global majority? Like, what happened to the global South? What happened to the former colonies of the neo-feudal, like, so it's it's America. In Neofeud, the top 10 richest people, like one single family, buys the entire United States at pennies on a dollar during a global smash crash, right? It's just in the lore of Neofeud 1. And so how did the collapsed United States and its collective Western imperial system, its imperial capitalist system, what happened to the rest of the world though? Because it's not explained in Neofeud 1, right? I wrote it in 2012, 13, 14. So, the world was different then. What happened to everybody else? And so in Neofeud 2, it explains what happened to everybody else. I'm not going to tell you because that would be too spoiler. But I do deal with like what happened to the burgeoning planetary Silk Road, the multipolar world. What happened to BRICS that we're currently seeing as the relative power of the collective, as New Rome falls, as Biden's and Trump's and Kamala's fiddle for the burning of all of the modern empire, wildfire, dollar hegemony, military supremacy, and otherwise. What happened to everybody else? Find out in Neofeud 2. Anyway, I'll stop waxing poetic and look at the chat. Leaping, many people are. Okay, let me look at the chat here one more time. I used to be addicted to caffeine and I had to quit cold turkey. And people are saying this. Leaping Larry said he wants to do a playthrough when you get Neofeud 2 done. I would be very happy to have our good friend and a good important voice and actor in the world, and also another indigenous person, Leaping Larry, to play through Neofeud 2. If Leaping Larry wants. I know Leaping Larry has financial difficulties, so Leaping Larry is a Twitch streamer. And does other work, and is works with, I can't remember all the organizations. But yeah, so if Leaping Larry or anybody else wants to play Neofeud 2, I would definitely be honored to. Neofeud 1 depended upon word of mouth. Another aspect of game dev is promotion, and marketing is difficult. It just is, you know. If you have a corporation, you can pay marketing teams to, you just, you know, if you're a big enough company like Activision or Blizzard, you will get on the front page of the Sony, the Steam, the Nintendo store, or whatever platforms you're on. You know, you'll be known. You'll be able to do that, and you as the creative engine in the game won't need to kind of like split yourself into wearing all these different hats like marketing. But when you are an indie dev, and that's the reality of being an indie dev, a smaller game dev, is you gotta work on marketing. And part of that is so to you know, that's why I have social media. It's like a lot of my time, a lot of my days, in fact, spent a good chunk of my day, maybe too much, arguably too much. Speaking of mental health disorder and mental health struggles, I can kind of fray my psyche if I go on social media for too long. But being on social media is part of promoting Neofeud 1, because nobody would know about the game if I did not do that. But also people doing let's plays and people streaming and playing the game on video is massively appreciated, because that over the history of Neofeud 1's progress, when Neofeud 1 was first released, there were less than like 200 sales in the first month, and that was like depressing, right? Because I spent like 2.5 years, and I'm like, oh my god, this is not good. I need to make more money than that to even make back, you know, because I spent 2.5 years. If I was paid a full-time professional corporate game developer's salary, just the industry average, I would have been paid approximately, you know, $150,000-$200,000 for the amount of work I put into Neofeud. And I was like, oh, and then we made $800 in the first month or something like that. It's something not very much. And I was like, this kind of sucks. I hope that's not, and it's like, you can see it dropping off, right? And so, and it's, I mean, that's nerve-wracking, right? That alone induces anxiety and stress. If you don't want to be anxious and stressed, if you can't handle that, I mean, it's something that, you know, it's a risky thing. It's not a thing that is guaranteed. This is why people who are descendants of neo-feudal billionaires, right, who have all their needs taken care of because mommy and daddy has a giant trust fund for them, right, they can make their own game company. I mean, it's just like Elon and Bill Gates. I mean, these people have rich family. Each of their daddies gave them mountains of money, and they have all of the cushions that they could possibly want. So they can. That's why they have the luxury of talking about quote unquote failing better. It's more like failing worse every time, like the U.S. empire. But anyways, so but yeah, as an indie dev, you got to take those risks. So long story short, I'm trying to answer the question, and I'm going off. All of the people that have shared the game, Rooster Teeth was one of the. It was a big channel. I think they got shut down now, but they had like a multi-million person following, right? They did a live let's play of Neofeud, and they made a video. Some of it was actually like a lot of the people were kind of like mocking it, which is not fun for me to deal with. But one of the people was seriously liked the game, and when he played it, like suddenly like 500 people got it that day. Or it was like a whole lot of people who suddenly got into it, and so that was a big round of encouragement of like, you know, it was a slow burn. It's been like a slow burn. Like I put the thing out, not that much, not even close to as much as I need and would like attention and sales happen, and then suddenly somebody else, somebody who Neofeud, it really speaks to them in a way that nothing else does, you know, and like they really appreciated it and they really loved it so much, and they had to tell people about it. One of them was I forgot, was Lawrence. I forgot his name is. He was one of the Rooster. He was one of the Funhaus, Funhaus Rooster Teeth people. He's like a game nerd. He likes cyberpunk. He played the game and on the channel, and it got like hundreds of thousands of millions of views, right? And then that suddenly bumped the game up in visibility. And the way the algorithms work is that once you get bumped up, it kind of pushes you up. I mean, and it takes you to another level. You know, it's not very fair. It's very chaotic, and it kind of sucks. But it is what it is. And then American Johnson, and anybody, I'm sure Strin, many people here probably know American Johnson Luna Oi. I went and did an interview with American Johnson Luna Oi on their channel, talking about being a native Hawaiian, game developer, the themes of Neofeud, the critique of capitalism, neoliberalism, like of racial, social inequities, and that kind of stuff on their left, the left's breadtube non-compete channel. I think they're not doing too many videos nowadays, and like that, like a lot of people who hadn't heard about Neofeud, and they're like, wow, this game seriously. He's like taking a really serious political stance on the actual like left edge of the spectrum, and a lot of people suddenly discovered Neofeud that way and spread, and so that helped a lot as well. Like it did. Like I remember like that week it was like, oh, we just made another $1,000 today. You know, it's like nothing's happening. I'm gonna have to go and work at 7-Eleven now. Oh my God, we're screwed and we're bankrupt. And then it's like, oh, something good happens, and it's kind of a little bit out of your control. That's a little bit of a wild roller coaster. You know, and it feels a little bit strange to be in that position. But I mean, so long story short, what I was trying to answer the question while talking about being Silver Spoon Games and a game developer is, yeah, anybody who will do word of mouth, like sharing the game on your social media, sharing the game in your Facebook, in your Discord, with your friends, just talking to them and telling them about it. Anybody who you want to play that game on a stream, on a Twitch stream, on a YouTube stream, on a YouTube, whatever. You want to make a YouTube video about it. You want to like analyze. You have a philosophy YouTube channel and you want to talk about the duality of man and the philosophy of the artist Borges, who is a creativity philosophy super AI that decided that the best course of action was to destroy the neofeudal system, and then was thrown away. Somebody did videos. Some people have done like philosophy videos, like playing through Neofeud just from a philosophy, like a PhD in philosophy's perspective. And every one of those things helps because I don't have any money. Like we have like enough money to basically eke by, but we don't have we're not floating in money. I can't pay marketing teams, so we need as many people sharing the game and the games as much as possible organically, because that's to the extent that we have succeeded. We rely on the crowd support. We rely on the solidarity of the masses. Biological, mechanical, global south, global west, global east, global north, or otherwise. Global center, global left, not so much the global right. Anyways, very different of those that weren't paying. What? Let me make sure I look at the question. Strin is on a roll with all these questions, huh? Good job. Anyways, when is Neofeud's NFTs? When is Neofeud's NFTs coming out? People have actually asked me that. Like, seriously though, that's like, oh, making NFT. Oh my god. I will give the Keanu Reeves meme response. You know, Keanu Reeves laughing at NFT bros. That's when the NFTs are coming, when Keanu Reeves and Lily Wachowski is into them, which is to say never. Must have been super exciting to get the big news. Yeah, I mean it was for sure. For our Global East and Global South members, I have done some people are talking about this again. I don't know why exactly, but I did do an entire game in between. See, 100%. I wasn't 100% working on Neofeud 2 the whole time because I did take some breaks to do Decolonators. I did Pigeon Bird Gun. I did Indigistar. There's actually a Neofeud card game. I actually spent 5 months working on a Neofeud card game. But one of the games was Decolonators, and this was a game I made in collaboration with a Vietnamese. You know, people are really protesting. Many people are very upset because of the U.S. support of terrible wars committing atrocities in the Middle East right now, right? And you know, Vietnam was a terrible U.S. war committing atrocities in Vietnam. And I made a game about that where you play the Vietnamese with my Vietnamese comrade Luna Oi. And so if you would like to check that out, the Decolonators is also available there. I see people, it's popping up again because people were some people were getting all I don't know, some people get upset when you call out the war crimes and the atrocities and describe them accurately of you know global north countries. They get very upset, and you know, it is what it is. Anyways, so but I made Indigistar. Indigistar is you know, I talked about that multipolar world. I talked about that multipolar like positive future that's part of Neofeud 2. Indigistar is a game that deals with that it's an alien species, but it's also a very familiar species. It's an alien race, but it's also if you are a member of the native peoples of the Americas and much of the global majority, it's a familiar story, and it's designed that way. It's kind of like Star Wars in 2001, but from my native perspective. And Indigistar is a game that it's like about an hour, and it's set between Neofeud 1 and Neofeud 2 that talks about these peoples who. And indigenous people and it's a pixelated because I had to do it faster because I didn't have time to make it at high resolution like Neofeud 2, where an indigenous people who live in peace on their planet, they begin hunting and gathering their plants and flowers. They sprout into villages that sprout into cities, but millennia pass without going through serious wars and serious extreme inequalities and tribulations on their planet. And then they blossom towards the stars, and they sail starships across the Silk Road, and they trade with other peoples across the galaxy. And there's some other random screenshots on it. And so this is like it's a native, as a native Hawaiian, and I'm also an Asian person as well in my heritage. So it's impacted by it's influenced by the native Hawaiian. Native Americans, many peoples of Asia, and as well as of Africa, and of the Arab worlds, their long, deep history, and the most positive aspects, the most successful of those civilizations, kind of fused together in a science fictional story, and it of course deals with invading empires, and then an empire arrives to eradicate and plunder. So it's kind of like the lead up to the events of Neofeud 2 occur in this game called Indigistar, in a lower resolution. But like this location, this city is the positive, successful civilization city. Not the dystopian cyberpunk, the other one. Right? There's two huge cities. Right? It's a tale of two cities. One of them is Beijing, one of them is New York. I'm just kidding. It's not. The unhealed descendants of the Roman trauma, the Utopian Empire, arrived to eradicate and plunder. So you see, like the Star Destroyers arrive, they blow up the indigenous cities, and then that's one of the parts of the Neofeud 2 world, right? In which Neofeud 2 begins, which is the beginning of galactic empire sprouting from the worst of Earth imperialist capitalists, right? And that kind of helps to set the stage for all of Neofeud 2. So I mean, yeah. So if you want to learn, if you have played Neofeud 1 or you like don't have a lot of time, Digistar is a game that will set the stage and inform more of the world for Neofeud 2. And it's like a very short game, but I made it. I made it in about a month in between. It also did help me to kind of like solidify who these people were. Who this alien race is in this game as well, and like they have like a billion-year history. They're like an ancient race. If you've seen Prometheus, there's also some connections to that because in Ridley Scott's Prometheus in the Alien series, I promise I'll get off of this tangent very quickly. In Ridley Scott's Prometheus, there is an ancient race of engineers, but they are basically Romanoids. They are like alabaster. They look like what Greek and Roman statues look like today, and they operate in an imperial sense, and they build mass machines of death and biological warfare and mass death. And I was like, and when the human billionaire, the human Wayland Yutani corporate billionaire, right, meets them, it goes very badly. And like he has his android son, and I remember this movie also had a big impact in 2014. And I was thinking about like, what a terrible story where your creators create you, right? The gods create you, your ancient alien race that creates you, and they just want to kill you. They just want to hurt you for their own benefit. Who knows why, right? And so I was like, what if there was like an ancient alien race that is like a grandfather race, right? But it's like indigenous. It's like global majority people's mythology, right? Where it wants to help you, but it's like saddened by the fact that you have destroyed your own planet, you know. So it's kind of like that was another part of the thought process. And so like in the indigenous, they're called like the Venuoran people. They are referred to as the grandfather, the grandparents. And like their relationship to the human characters and to the sentient machines that are like the children of the humans, right? They have like the difference between them, and they treat them like family. They treat people like they're part of the community. If you need a house, they simply manifest the house for you, or they just give a house to you. They want to know about you, and they want to know about your life as grandparents, right? And as your family member, ancient family members that they live in like 36 dimensional space and time, but they still take time to get to know their grandchildren. Whereas the Western people, or the people that descend, like these people, the people that descend from these royal, super capitalist, imperialist people, right? They need these neo-feudal people that are concerned with their own prestige and their wealth. They have all the resources and all the time in the world, and they take a second to listen seriously to their own children. That's like very important. So like to show the difference. Obviously, they completely lay waste and exploit all their own populations, right? They give all the money to themselves and nothing to their people. But even their own children, they disregard. It's like Elon and his daughter. Elon is basically like disowned from all of his children, right? And like and that's another aspect of Neofeud. And so like, and the difference between the way that that like the way people relate familially, it's not just economic. Economic is one dimension, but the economic and the interpersonal, the familial, the cultural, this way civilization, the norms of the life, right? the all those things matter. Like even like the beliefs about the way that the world goes. Like that peace is a path that can be pursued and should be pursued, versus war is inevitable. Exploitation is inevitable. Hegemony and like Thucydides' trap, somebody must rule, is inevitable. That's like it's a deep Greco-Roman, European, Anglo-Franco, American. It's an unquestioned like tenet of reality. There must be a hegemon. There must be a Caesar above all, and everyone else must be subjugated. Right? And then it's like so Neofeud 2 deals with completely conflicting civilizations, trying to figure out. Well, the elder civilization trying to figure out what to do to deal with the self-harming, younger, self-destroying civilization, right? It's like, what do we do with these? Because the elder also view the younger neo-feudal people as their own children. They're like, but we have failed. We have failed to help our children grow up and believe in hegemonic, imperialistic systems. Like we have to help them, right? So it's like that's like anyways, that's like deep Neofeud 2 stuff. Let me move on from that. It's too philosophical. Anyways, thanks a lot to SCH Estrin. It's 1:40. I gotta go. So anyways, I'm gonna start wrapping. If you have any last comments, feel free to throw it out. It's good to talk to some people. I know I don't always I don't always read all the comments and interact with the chat on the stream, so I try to do that today. I spent like most of the last week all day working on Neofeud 2 to try to get it done. It's not quite done. In case you're wondering, when is it coming out? It's not. If you just tune in, it's not coming out in the next week. I'm sorry, but I'm aiming for the end of this year. I'm on the very end of Neofeud 2. I still have to do the music and the voice. I have to figure out how I'm going to do the music and the voice acting and all that stuff. So that's going to take a bit, but I'm aiming for the end of this year for Neofeud 2. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, thanks a lot for watching, Strin. We love to listen to you rant. Yeah, I guess I kind of have taken that hint sometimes. Sometimes I think, what am I even talking about? But you know, you can follow me on @SilverSpookGuy for my personal takes on stuff, and you can also follow SilverSpook Games for the games related stuff. SilverSpook Games, especially like again the stuff I'm talking about today, Neofeud 2. You can also go on itch.io. You can follow, or you can get the games like Neofeud 1. Every sale does help us to keep doing the work that we do here at the SilverSpook Cooperative, as I always say. And of course, Neofeud 2 is not there yet, but it's coming soon. You can also get Decolonators, where you kick colonizer capitalist butts out of your country. And they just start, like I already talked about. And of course, you can get Pigeon with Gun is just another random comedy game I made. Where you play a pigeon fighting gajillionaire robots in a comedic cyber retro future side-scrolling shooter. And of course, you can Woman is a book by Holly, who was raised in right-wing evangelical Christianity, and it is a book that critiques that sort of thinking and worldview. Also, you can get Neofeud on Steam for itch. Sorry, you get Neofeud on Steam here. If you have a second to leave even a very short review, it is massively appreciated because it does help us get the game discovered in the Steam algorithm when people are looking for games to play. And of course, you can already did that one. You can also you can give us direct support through Ko-Fi. I don't have a super chat, but you can give if you do a super chat, the creator only gets half of the revenue. The creator gets like 98, 99, almost all the revenue if you do a Ko-Fi. You give money through Ko-Fi. So we would appreciate it if you do. That's a good place to do it as well. You can support us at patreon.com/Neofeud and give us ongoing support, and all of the get all monthly posts about what I'm doing and all the latest updates at Silver Spook Cooperative, panels and events and such, and doing land back here in U.S. occupied Hawaii. And of course, you can also follow at Silver Spook Games at Octodon. You know, if Twitter gets banned in Brazil, 200 million people won't have it. At Octodon.social, at Silver Spook Games at Octodon.social, or at Silver Spook Games at Mastodon.social, or both. You can follow me there. You can also follow, let's see what's up on Terminus. Oop. Terminus C, Terminus Cyberstar is a cyberpunk RPG. I'm the content director and lead writer for. I mean, this is another based on Terminus Machina, which is the game I made before Neofeud. This is a 3D RPG, and of course, you can follow Holly at Allergic to Blue, writer, producer, moderator, and more. Married to myself, Linebacker, Hawaii, and of course, let's protect ourselves from ongoing pandemics. Hey, Mpox, you got Mpox, H5N1, mosquito. I mean, the mosquitoes, the massive protection from the mosquitoes, but I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff coming. COVID's still, COVID is still running to big numbers. So be careful out there. Spaceman, what's up, dude? Spaceman J. Francis. Trying to catch up on this. Thanks a lot. Thanks SCH, who says you're so talented. Thank you very much. I try my absolute best. Thank you all for all your great work. Thanks for stopping in, Spaceman J. Yeah, go check out Leaping Larry for sure. Apologies if I missed this. Was already asked. Is there a bundle price for you? I have not thought about that specifically yet. But I mean, it makes sense, right? Neofeud. I mean, a lot of games have, you get all the games in the series for a bundle price. So when Neofeud 2 does come out, I will probably do that. I mean, yeah, a strong probably. I haven't thought that far ahead. And Neofeud 2 is not out yet, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna do that. So, to answer your question, highly probable. There we go. Anyways, but I gotta go. So yeah. Anyway, this has been the Silver Spook shows random Neofeud 2 in-game sneak peeks. That's what all of this is. That video is just work from the last month. And now I will be thanking all of our patrons before I go. Thank you very much for all your support. Without the support, it's hard for us to keep on doing this work. So thank you so much to all of those patrons. And yeah. Thanks to Colin. Thanks for stopping in and asking. And yeah, until next time, keep your merch splash, be excellent to each other. Build a better future. Build a better future. Be careful for giant floating space palaces and earth palaces made of fiat money. And yeah, we'll see you next time, possibly on Twitter.